He is an ad hominem and a political Scientologist, and he's here for you.
I just assume you left the Scientology out of it there.
Next
Brian.
on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
Hey, if it's good enough for Tom Cruise, it's good enough for me.
One way to put it, but don't throw me in that mess.
Dr. Bob.
Yes.
President Donald Trump early Thursday morning canceled the upcoming summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The president says U.S. military is prepared for possible problems from North Korea if Kim Jong-un goes in that direction. Your take?
Well, I think, again, there are a number of factors here. And I think one problem is Kim Jong-un is really afraid to leave North Korea. The few times he's left, he's gone in a heavily armored train to China, and I think the last meeting with China was actually pretty close to the North Korean border. And he has gone to South Korea, but his willingness to fly anywhere or go any distance from North Korea, I think, is very limited. So to go all the way to Singapore for a summit meeting with Trump, I think probably made him a little nervous. Now, at the same time, you had this big military exercise planned, which I think was pretty stupid on our part. I think it's an example of various units at the national level not communicating particularly well with each other, of which we backed off to a little bit. But the bottom line here is that something made Kim Jong-un begin to talk about coming to the bargaining table. And I think those factors are still in play. And I think as Pompeo told Congress, we're still talking to the North Koreans. And I think we will continue to talk to them. And some sort of modus vivendi or some sort of compromise is still, I think, in the works, because the big plus for all this is, of course, it has clearly quieted North Korea down and moved them in the direction of less nuclear development and less nuclear threats. So in that sense, I think Trump has had some success, and I think the public will give him, frankly, a lot of credit for what he's trying to do here. I think a lot of us thought that this was certainly not a sure thing, and but I don't think it's completely out of reach yet.
Can we move on to another topic, or do you want to stay
Why,
there?
absolutely, Brian.
A new report just out from a company called Sentier Research shows that the median household income has gone up 3% since President Donald Trump was sworn in. Investors Business Daily says their economic optimism index is at 53.6%. Investors Business Daily also says that something they do call the Quality of Life Survey Index is up very high too.
Yes, I think people are increasingly happy, Brian. I know that you media people can't handle that, but the fact is, I think people are working, the economy is booming along, and
do you attribute all this to Trump? I do.
Absolutely, yes.
I have a liberal friend, Dr. Bob, who swears that
get rid of him.
Trump is benefiting from the Obama economy.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's what he says.
Well, could you find another friend who isn't quite as? No, I'm. It may well be that Obama had something to do with this, but it's on Trump's watch, and the whole point of it is the confidence that Trump is giving business in terms of cutting back on regulations, cutting back on taxes, cutting back on federal employment. The whole area is basically, I think, giving business a lot more promise. Plus, Trump's promise to continue to try to get businesses to bring their manufacturing and their production back to the United States are all very big pluses. And on top of that, you've got the huge burgeoning in oil production, which obviously is not being felt at the pumps at this point. But we're about to become the largest oil exporter producer in the world. So a lot of that is because, again, the Trump administration is turning these people loose. It's amazing what capitalism will do if you give it a chance. So I think Trump gets a lot of credit for this. And I would say domestically, he's really on very strong ground.
How is it that all this strong deregulation you referred to, and the bringing the factories, the factory owners back up from Mexico, how is it this sort of thing is something that Trump would do if he was a tool of Vladimir Putin? What is it about what Trump is doing that Vladimir would like?
I don't know. Who said he was a tool of Vladimir Putin?
Well, just about everybody.
Whose idea was that?
In the liberal media.
Well, there you go again. You've got to find more middle-of-the-road friends. I'm just making the point, what is it that he's doing that would benefit Russia in any way? Nothing. As far as I can tell, clearly we're going to be pretty competitive, I think, with the Russians on energy production. And we're sanctioning the Russians. And what we're really nasty about with these sanctions is, of course, that we're hitting the financial resources of some of Putin's closest friends. So we're hitting them personally in terms of their bank accounts and other investment activities outside of Russia. So I think that's the sort of thing that really kind of registers with Putin and his communist friends. Because, historically, the Russian leadership has been more than willing to let the people suffer from Russia. But when it starts hitting their pocketbooks, I think they may be a lot more responsive. So I don't think there's any reason at all that you can argue that somehow Trump is, it's absurd. And in fact, let me go on with that just a bit. Increasingly, I think you see signs that the Mueller investigation is going to come back and bite the Democrats in the butt. I think increasingly there are signs that the FBI, for example, was monitoring the Trump aides and people in the Trump campaign during the campaign and even before that. And you increasingly see signs that the Obama administration went out of their way to smooth the path for Hillary and avoid investigation of things like her email accounts and things of that sort. So there's increasing evidence that it wasn't the Trump people and somehow the Russians that were acting clandestinely, that clearly, not clearly, but there's a lot of evidence that the FBI under Mr. Holder and wonderful Loretta Lynch were basically protecting Hillary and trying to push a Democrat victory. So I think there are some things that come out of this. If Mueller is, in fact, objective, I think it could well turn around and hurt the Democrats quite a bit.
Ohio Republican Congressman Jim Jordan says the Justice Department is under a cloud now for not turning over requested documents to Congress that people like Trey Gowdy and Kevin Nunes have been asking for.
Well, Holder was notorious for his refusal to give Congress information. You remember had the famous Fast and Furious program that Holder undertook, where they had some knothead had the idea that we could deal with Mexican mafia by providing them with U.S. guns. And the result of that was they used the guns to kill at least one, maybe two American drug enforcement people. And the Congress tried to investigate that. They called Holder in to testify, and he just simply refused to testify. So we never have heard from him. What was your role in that? Obviously, he's not willing to talk about it much. Although I think he is getting ready to try to run for the presidency in 2020.
Who's he?
Eric Holder.
Any chance
Well,
of getting a Democratic nomination?
I don't know. I think he's going to try to follow in Obama's footsteps.
Getting back to Jim Jordan for a second, and not to get too off topic, but
Oh.
do you think there's any chance of Jim Jordan replacing Paul Ryan as House Speaker when the time comes?
I think not. Anything's a chance, but I think what's his name, Scalise, the fellow who what's he from Louisiana, I believe.
The guy that was shot during the baseball game.
I think he's got the inside track right now. Although Ryan, of course, is backing McCarthy, but clearly the Republicans are split in a number of different directions.
I know you don't like to talk about the mainstream media, but there's a couple of weird things that have been going on lately.
Oh.
The mayor of West Hollywood, John Duran, gave the key of the city of West Hollywood to Stormy Daniels. And who else would you give it to? And,
absolutely. I mean, yeah.
On top of that, the mainstream media has been twisting the heck out of President Trump's words when he slammed MS-13, calling them animals and killers. The talking heads in the mainstream media turned around and said, "Oh, he's talking about all the immigrants. He's bad. Don't like him."
That is really kind of insane. And I think that's one place where again Trump has the American public on his side. They understand what he's saying, and what he's saying is true. These guys are animals. They're very dangerous, and so all Trump is doing is calling them out, and this attempt to sort of paint everybody who's an immigrant with that view and such. Nobody's buying that. But
Nancy Pelosi went as far as to defend MS-13.
Who was that?
Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, the more we hear from Nancy, the better. No, I don't know what the Democrats are thinking, frankly. I think as time goes by, their chances for gains in the House and Senate are frittering away. I mean, it's the insane and strange comments they make are just... people are wondering where are these guys coming from. And I see now that the NFL has decided to follow Trump on the kneeling during the national anthem approach. And I think the public backs Trump on that. Then Nancy Pelosi may not, but like Trump said, the owners, I guess, have said, if you think you can't respect the national anthem, then stay in the locker room and come out afterwards.
Nancy Pelosi, like Hillary Clinton, both of them are not in the best of health these days.
Yes.
Governor Andrew Cuomo hanging with Hillary lately. Does that help Cuomo or hurt him in New York State and national politics? New York State first.
Well, I think according to the news reports, the Democrat state convention was a big success for Cuomo. And Hillary was up there. I think she made invigorating nominating speech and tried to rouse the grassroots there among the Democrats. That, frankly, doesn't mean a heck of a lot. I guess Cynthia Nixon got 5% of the delegate vote or whatever. Again, that doesn't mean much because it appears that Nixon's going to go out and circulate petitions and get enough signatures to challenge Cuomo in the primary. Now, in the past, what Cuomo's father would do is try to have those petitions voided in court. And obviously they can shop around and find a judge who might be willing to do that. But judges have been a lot more lenient these days in terms of allowing candidates onto the ballot. So we'll have to see how that plays. But clearly, Nixon is going to do everything she can to get on a Democratic line in the primary. She already has the working families line, and if Cuomo and his friends try to bully her off the Democratic lines, that probably is only going to help her. So there's a lot of potential divisions and such popping up, And out here in the hinterland, you see more and more Democrats just distancing themselves from Cuomo because the corruption issue is getting to be bigger and bigger and bigger.
Talking with Dr. Bob, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back.
The DJ you should hire listens to you about the kind of party or reception you'd like to have, pronounces your name right, plays the music you request, not the songs he feels like hearing. The DJ you should hire works out the songs ahead of time with you. Sean Stewart, DJ Truth, for all occasions, weddings, dances, graduations, anniversaries, and parties. 661-7658, 661-7658, 661-7658 for Sean Stewart, DJ Truth.
Did you know you can save up to 50% off at local businesses by going to our website, fun921.com, and click on Shop Certificate Auction Sales for gift certificates up to 50% off. Pay with a credit card or choose to pay cash in person, then come up to our station to pick up your certificates. Don't have a computer? Visit us here at the radio station on Ashbaugh Hill Road, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Now, here are some more of the sponsors we have certificates for. B&D Stoves, Big Papa's, Country View Crafts, Honeybee's Kitchen, Leon Lacey Professional Services, Patty's Pub and Grill, and Star Automotive Services. Come back often because we're always adding certificates. Thanks for saving money with us here at AM 1480 WLEA and Fun 92.1.
Now checking in with the meteorologist. Tell us about today's forecast, Rob.
Today's outstanding, Brian. It's going to be like a summer day across the southern tier. And if you're going to be planning outdoor events for the holiday weekend, keep in mind that we're going to run the risk of some showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and again on Sunday afternoon. There's going to be a cold front working its way down from New England back to the west. This is actually what we call a backdoor front. Rather than it coming in from the northwest, it comes in from the northeast. Why are we seeing it? Well, yesterday near Gander, Newfoundland, they had a foot of snow. That storm is pushing the cooler air in off the Atlantic, and some of that's going to try to work its way towards us over the weekend. It never really gets here, but some of the clouds and the shower and thunderstorm activity will. Now, today we look great. We're partly to mostly sunny this morning, mostly sunny and warm this afternoon, 85 to 90. We're looking at sunrise this morning. It was at 5:39, sunset this evening at 8:35. Tonight, clear, 60 to 65. We'll start with sunshine tomorrow. Then it begins clouding up during the day, and there is the risk of a shower or storm, warm 85 to 90. Maybe a shower or storm tomorrow evening, otherwise mostly cloudy, 60 to 65. Sunday clouds, the risk of a shower or thunderstorm, 80 to 85. Then it'll become sunny on Memorial Day. Temperatures will end up back in the 80s again, Brian.
Back with Dr. Bob.
Hello.
Prominent Allegheny County reporter Mike Baldwin of the Wellsville Regional News Page. We quote them a lot.
Yes, well,
and
he's one
I
of
don't
my
steal.
better students. Yes.
I get accused of a lot of things, Doc, but I don't steal people's news stories.
Yeah, well, that's a very
Yeah, I get accused
thing.
of bias and being in Trump's pocket and all this stuff. I wish I was. Wow, that'd be great. But anyways, Mike Baldwin says that there's no hope. It's all over for Dresser Rand in Wellsville. No hope of Dresser Rand changing their mind and staying. Congressman Tom Reed, though, has not given up. The latest is Congressman Reed is putting pressure on both the Secretary of the Navy and the Secretary of Defense, asking for both the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of the Navy to produce proof that the move of Dresser Rand to down south would help the U.S. military in any way. Your thoughts?
Well, I appreciate what Tom Reed's doing, and let's hope he's successful. But the people I'm talking to over there indicate to me that there's no way Dresser Rand's going to change its mind. Now, what is really kind of, and again, I think it's the public has to understand this. Schumer comes out with a big, and he gets front page coverage, his picture and everything. Schumer doing everything he can. He's meeting with the top officials of the company and that sort of thing. And the interesting thing is the regulation and the tax structure and the big government programs that Schumer pushes and supports are the reasons why these companies are pulling out of New York State. And then he turns around and tries to take credit for somehow keeping them here. I mean, it seems to me that's a real exercise in duplicity, which the man has been able to pull off pretty effectively for a long time. giving in his credentials in constituency service. Well, sure, the bigger, the more programs he has, the more he can go out and provide constituency service. And unfortunately, and I think it is unfortunate, this is not going to, it's going to have a very depressing effect on the Wellsville area. Now, if the state and Governor Cuomo and his tree-hugging friends could begin to be a little more flexible on the fracking issue, I think you could see some real growth and development in this area. But as long as they obstruct that, it's not a pretty picture.
I was at a meeting in South Canisteo the other day, and this guy I was talking to told me that the fracking companies, the shale companies, had come to him and wanted to do some stuff there in South Canisteo, and then right afterwards, Cuomo's big order came down: no fracking in New York State. When I talk to people, I was never a big fracking advocate. I just watched it and said, this side says this side says that. I do know that from talking to people who worked out in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, that there was quite a boom down there from the drilling down there.
Yeah, it's in terms of getting motels and businesses, it's been a tremendous boom for Pennsylvania. Now, I may be slowing down a little bit there now. I'm not sure. But all these threats and hyperbolic predictions of danger and environmental disaster. I mean, it's amazing how these issue groups frame everything in terms of Armageddon. And, it's totally irresponsible, and the whole idea is just try to frighten people as much as you can, and you kind of wonder why these people are doing this. They're not making any money out of it, but you got a lot of people out there that are, frankly, they're...
Hey, out of time. Any final thoughts, Doc?
Well, you got to remember it was President Nixon who established the Environmental Protection Agency, and
he did it for Checkers, his respectable Republican dog.
what?